1 month from tomorrow will be the first day of spring. Huzzah! Not that seasons ever change on one particular day, but it does mean that we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Spring is coming, warmth, green, growth. So about now, the serious gardeners are looking through their seed catalogs and making their choices for their 2022 gardens: flowers, vegetables, shrubs, trees, annuals, perennials, and seeds. We reorder our favorites. Mine are snap peas, cherry tomatoes, and zinnias. And we look carefully at new varieties we might try. My friend is planting a tomato that will be the size of a bread bowl. We'll see how that goes. And whether we deem ourselves serious gardeners or not, we marvel at the variety of small and teeny tiny seeds. We do all we can, or have time or strength to do, to make the soil nourishing so that the seeds will sprout and grow. This morning's lesson from Corinthians reminds me of what Jesus said in John's Gospel. Very truly, I tell you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains just a single grain. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. And today we read in Paul's letter, you do not sow the body that is to be, meaning the full-grown plant, but a bare seed, perhaps of wheat or of some other grain. But God gives it a body as he has chosen, and to each kind of seed its own body. Here, the theologian, Paul of Tarsus, becomes the gardener and embraces the mystery and wonder we all see when we plant a seed in the ground. Tomato seeds yield tomatoes, and zinnia seeds yield zinnias. What a wonder. Each seed was the product of the culmination of last year's garden. Sometimes we save those seeds for the next year, and sometimes we buy new seeds in their colorful, fairly irresistible packets. The seeds within are precious and divine. We will plant them, we will water them, but as Paul also wrote, it is only God who makes them grow. Paul is not really talking about gardens. Paul is talking about resurrection. If you put all the parts of the word resurrection together, it would mean a straightening up from under again. Straightening from under again. It means, we all know, coming back to life after death. In Paul's explanation of the resurrection of the dead, he offers two different ways or metaphors of understanding. The first is about seeds. The life cycle of a plant is such that in order to be planted anew, the old plant must die, and as we say, go to seed. If there were no death and hence no seed, the plant could not live again. The seed, once produced by a dying plant, is the means of the plant coming to life again, of straightening from under. And what a marvel it is to see those first little leaves come poking out of the earth. Is that feeling just an inkling of what the disciples felt when they saw Jesus arisen? Paul's second metaphor is about Adam, the first human being created by God. Today, most of us see this as having happened over many millennia of evolution, a process that God set into motion and blesses. In his example, Paul emphasizes that Adam sinned and was driven out of the garden by God. The first Adam was a fallen man, and his weakness brought dishonor upon humankind. Jesus, Paul tells us, is the second Adam, a new creature entirely, yet born in a perishable human body. The life, death, and resurrection of Jesus turned the tables for humanity. What began as perishable was raised as imperishable. What began as dishonor was raised in glory. And what began in weakness was raised in power. The physical body of Jesus was raised a spiritual body, a body that several did not even recognize at first, but also a body that bore the bloody scars and that could eat breakfast with them by the sea. Paul emphasizes that wherever there is a physical human body, there is also a spiritual body. As the Jesuit priest and scientist Teilhard de Chardin wrote, we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Thus it is written, Paul finishes, the first Adam became a living being. The last Adam became a life-giving spirit. Amen. Here is the most defining event of our Christian faith. Often we all say during our Eucharistic celebration, Christ has died, Christ is risen. We don't say Christ has risen. We say Christ is risen. The spectacular truth of his resurrection lives on for us into every moment of our lives, into this present moment, and on to forever. The resurrection of the dead, we believe, is also something that will happen to us. At a Christian funeral or memorial service, this understanding offers solace alongside our sadness and hope alongside our grief. Resurrection can take on many forms if we choose to see it on a wider spectrum. It happens in the garden. It happens in the realms of illness and relationships. A dear friend of mine who has remained single and is in her 50s is in love with someone who is in love with her. It feels like a miracle, this bursting forth of new life, new possibilities, new loves. It is akin to resurrection. Pete Seeger wrote a wonderful song about growing a garden. It is labeled as a children's song, which it certainly is, children of all ages. You may have heard it. I'm going to sing. Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. Gonna rake and weed and hoe, gonna make it fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, please bless these seeds I sow. Please keep them warm below till the rain comes tumbling down. Planting seeds and picking stones, we are made of dreams and bones. Planting seeds and picking stones. No, it's actually not planting seeds. I think that in my head, but it's pulling weeds and picking stones, but I prefer planting seeds. But that's not how he wrote it. Pulling weeds and picking stones, we are made of dreams and bones. Dreams and bones feel to me like another way to talk about resurrection and about the resurrection. Remember the folks walking along the road to Emmaus? They met a man walking along with them, and they shared their anguish about the crucifixion and death of Jesus, their beloved teacher, healer, and friend. Their dreams were shattered. Jesus's bones were dead in the ground, and God had another idea. God has other ideas for all of us as well. These physical bodies we have been given as our homes during our human experience are destined to die. We cannot escape that. But we can understand that in dying, our lives begin anew on a new spiritual plane. Death has no dominion over us. And so we can live freely, truly, wholeheartedly, knowing that in death, life is changed, not ended. Amen.